The new 2020 BC 3.5. When you first get your gas roaster, if it's a BC-5, the little connector will not be attached because it sticks out too far in the crate. So it should be in a bag with yellow gas tape around it. If you happen to have joint compound or leak lock or any of that, you can put some of that around it and then tighten it in there. But this is on a propane model. Of course, on the natural gas model, you would have a larger 1/2-inch connector, and you would connect it either directly to your gas line or to a flexible pipe leading to your gas line. But on a propane model, you've likely ordered the Marshall 1912-197 regulator with 10-foot line. Here's the line. This one's been reused numerous times, but you just hand tighten it. It's got an O-ring seal on the inside, so when it gets hand tightened, that ring seal's pretty much snug. It can't hurt to give it a little nudge, but don't try to do much more than that. You just want that O-ring to lock in there. And then when it comes to plugging in your power, most of you will probably not go with 220, even though our roasters are all 220 roasters. With the natural gas and propane models up through the BC-8, we provide a free voltage converter. When you get your voltage converter, it'll be shipped separately usually. It's going to be preset to 230, which is wrong because you're not plugging it into a 220 outlet, as we call it in the United States. So you flip this down to its lowest setting in the back, which will either say 110 or 115, one something, meaning it's 110 for US. And then you plug your roaster into the 220 plug on the front, because that's the power you need, 220, but you're getting it from 110. So back 110 to plug into any 110 outlet in your home or business, 220 because your roaster needs 220, and then that will convert it for you. And then of course you turn on the switch to get that started. So this is the new 2020 BC 3.5 MD with the manual dial damper system, and this is a double wall unit. And one of the ways you can tell that it's a double wall unit, because it's not real easy to tell, on the 2020 models it has that extra insulation through the burner room viewing window. So these all work pretty much the same as all our other BC roasters, but you may be new at looking at any of them. After you've hooked up your gas and tested it for leaks and hooked up your plugged it into either 220 or using a voltage converter, plugged it into 110. And let me emphasize again and again, because we get people calling or emailing saying that something's not right. It's because they did not plug their 110 voltage converter. They did not hook it up properly by switching the back to 110 or 115 and plugging it into the 220 line in front. We repeat that over and over in all our information, and yet 50% of customers do not read the manuals, which actually could void your warranty. Now, I'm done with my soapbox. So as you probably know if you've watched any of our videos, this is the power button. It turns on the power, which automatically turns on the Omron digital controls, gives power to the timer, which we usually set at 99 minutes only because you're using the timer simply to keep track of time, not to control the roaster. As you can see, this is a roaster that just came out of the crate. It's and yours won't be set up this way unless you're in Canada. This one is set up for Celsius. The way to change that is to press the button on the far left till it switches to the menu mode. Hit the second button when you'll see D-U and C, hit the arrow up. It now becomes Fahrenheit. Hit this for a second, and now that's set to Fahrenheit. The only problem is it was set to 230 degrees. So you use these last 3 buttons to change the maximum setting. We like to set our roasters to a temperature that you would never take your roast, because you're going to be standing in front of the roaster and you're going to be turning it on and turning it off and dropping your beans when it gets to the right temperature. So we go ahead and preset them to 500, knowing you'll never take it up past about 450 or 460, and therefore it's never going to shut off for you. With that in mind, let me get this set real quick. Now I'm going to change it again by pressing these arrow over buttons, then the arrow up and arrow down buttons to change the time, setting both of mine to 500. Your roaster, what turns the power or the gas on and off is the bean temperature control. So if you were to like set this to 400, it would shut off your gas at 400, but then it would come back on as soon as the gas kicks on. And you don't want that, not in coffee roasting, because you don't want to bake your beans by keeping them all at one same temperature. So you always want the temperature to continually rise. You just want to slow that rate of rise, which you do with the use of your gas pressure, your airflow, and your drum speed control. Will all play a part in that, which we'll get into as we get into the roasting process. Just to give you a little information on the next button, it says roasting. It's the igniter. I don't have my gas on, but when you press this and you turn this on, it will spark the igniter, and if gas is going in there and you've got the airflow right, it will light the burners and you'll begin to preheat your roaster. If you turn it on and you don't have any gas to it, or if you turn it on and you don't have the right airflow and it can't get that gas up to the igniter needle in time, it will shut off like in 3 or 4 seconds and send off an alarm. Let me show you. So now it's cut off the solenoid, stopped the igniter, and it's telling you, hey buddy, something's not right. You either don't have the gas on or you don't have enough airflow to get the gas up into the line. So you simply turn that off, and then to redo it, you turn it back on. But this time, to do it right, I will turn on my gas, and I'm roasting with a propane roaster. So some of the settings are going to be a little different if you're using natural gas. So now I got gas coming into up to the solenoid. I want to open my valve on the needle valve. I want to up my airflow quite a bit since this is the first time I've started the roaster. I'm going to kick this on. I'm going to go ahead and run my airflow up fairly high, give it a decent amount of gas. And once it lights, I can adjust my airflow back down to somewhere in between 2 and 4. And if you can see the picture, I'm preheating my roaster, and this is a double wall, so I'm going to go ahead and crank it up to nearly 3 kPa. The next button is the timer button. This just simply turns the timer on and off. To reset it, you have to hit the RST or reset button. And try to avoid hitting any other buttons, as it can change the settings. But the reset button will reset your timer. Always keep this on 100%. The reason for that is you are using the manual dial damper to control your airflow. The only time you would turn this off is when you have the gas off, but you're still running the roaster. Perhaps you've just dropped beans into the cooling tray, you haven't charged your new roast, and you want to empty your chaff unit. You don't want to empty the chaff unit when the fan is on. You want to do it when the fan is off. So by turning off the fan, you can safely open the chaff door, suck out your chaff with a shop vac or a brush, and then close the door, then come back here and turn this back on to 100%. That's another thing where people sometimes think that they can control the airflow with this while also controlling it with the manual dial damper, and that's a no-no. This is mainly just used only to turn off when you need to clean your chaff unit and your in-between rows. The next button is the cooling button. As you're going to hear, a very loud fan. The most powerful fan of the two will cool your beans after you've dropped them into the cooling tray. And then the next one is the mixing arms, which mixes the beans as they're cooling to speed up that cooling process.